You know, there is political reality and political idealism. And my brother from DCP is actually a political realist. Because political reality exists that first, it is played within political parties. The vehicle that we use in Kenya to go to an election is called a political party. Movements don't go to elections. There is no movement that you are going to find on the ballot. So at the end of the day, we must be candid with Kenyans so that we again don't mislead them. We have people who are rallying behind, and you know some of the people are not necessarily as politically active and knowledgeable as some of us. So we must try not to mislead them. Because there might be people in Bungoma, others in Olkalau and other places who are aspirants, and they are busy shouting Linda Mwananchi every day, thinking it's going to become a political party that they will put on a ballot paper. So and as Kagai tells them that, he is not leaving Jubilee because he knows that he'll go to the ballot paper as a Jubilee candidate, not a Linda Mwananchi candidate. So we must be able to let people know that at the end of the day, politics is played within political party structure. And there was something about the rule of law, and my brother Kagai said that Sifuna is just there to ensure that ODM sticks to the dictates of law because he's a law-abiding citizen. And I would want to challenge my brother and ask him, how did Sifuna become SG? At that point, where was the law? Because he stormed the headquarters, and just like that, they threw out a Secretary General. Why didn't he go to court? Why didn't he want the same process that he wants today? Over the time, we must be able to understand that Secretary Generals of political parties is the highest political appointment of a political party away from the party leader position. And that's why when you check well, no Secretary General ever gets out of office in a very ceremonial manner. All Secretary Generals are thrown out. All of them.
Apart from Jubilee.
Now, when you look, the difference between Jubilee and other parties is that Jubilee can be quite cordial in its throwing out, but it's the same way throwing you out.
Kioni was also crying.
So he was crying the other day, and yet when it was being done, it was guised as a promotion. They said, we have made you deputy party leader. So Secretary Generals, in reality, that is always what happens, because at the end of the day, they hold fundamental position in the political party, and they are the spokespeople of the political party. So anytime they read from their personal script and not the political party script, it will always be that dramatic. Sifuna came in a dramatic manner. So he must be able to accept that the reason why he came in, and the reason why he came in, and the reason why he came in a dramatic manner at that time, he was insisting that the SG is not speaking the language of the party. That is what he was saying. Today, it's the party saying it's him who is not speaking the language of the party. So it's actually, sometimes the beauty of nature is that it turns around, and sometimes it shows us, it takes us to a mirror, and then we start seeing ourselves. And that's why it has gotten Sifuna, that he is now seeing himself. But what he does, and he has a right, because again, we are a country of law, appealing decisions is a right, you do that. But reality is that political parties are governed. Political parties are governed by law, but there are also political processes. If we chose in Jubilee to appeal, we would have appealed and kept the party on a roller coaster of judicial nonsense going on left, right, and center. But at the end of the day, you know that this is a political party, and at the end of the day, it must be able to move forward. And you cannot even compare the situation in Jubilee with in ODM, Trisha. When you're talking about Jubilee situation, you're talking about a neck that was divided at over half. So we are talking about nearly about 18 members on one side and about 12 members or 13 on the other side. In ODM, you're talking about a neck that is full on one side and one man on the other side. And you really want to say that they must be able to listen to the one man. I do not disagree that he might be able to be saying what some people want to hear. But what I'm just trying to say is that he must agree that when you read from a different script from the organization, it is you who actually leaves the organization. We can't sit here, Trisha, and then decide that all of us, the four of us, the three of you agree on something, and I'm the only one with contrary opinion, but I must force you that if you don't go my way, then all of you are wrong. I think it doesn't work like that. That is not how organizations are run. Okay. So what he needs to do, and this is more political than anything else, I tend to think that from a political standpoint and from a strategic standpoint, Sifuna is missing the moment. He's failing to understand why Kenyans and why those young people said mimi ndio Sifuna.
Yes.
He's failing to get that moment because he's failing to remember that on the day that ODM pushed him out, people on social media started resigning from ODM. You remember that?
Yes.
Yesterday when the same happened, did you see anyone resign?
Already resigned.
There was nothing like that. That should be able to show you that at the first instance, there was momentum. And the reason why these people are coming together is because these people are feeling like we are tired of status quo. We are tired of status quo. Where to them, status quo means ODM, it means everyone else. So we want a new beginning. That's what they were telling Sifuna. But after telling him that, Sifuna has continued insisting that no, me I'm part and parcel of status quo. I will continue being part of status quo. And strategy in politics, when it's not visible, then it's not strategy. Because the same way, Trisha, and I've always told you this, that when I was in Jubilee as an official, we kept losing by-elections towards the election. And when Ruto kept beating us in by-elections, we kept convincing ourselves the English words like strategy. We kept telling our people that, we are just wait, we are being strategic. Last minute, mutaona. Yeah? We kept looking for narratives to convince our people that there is something we were doing. But I can assure you there was actually nothing we were doing. And that is exactly what is happening today with Linda Mwananchi. They are hoodwinking these people, making them believe that there is something strategic that is happening. But I can be able to assure you, as factual as the sun will rise tomorrow from the east, there is nothing that they are doing. Totally nothing. When it cannot be visible in politics, it does not exist. There's usually nothing like a backroom strategy in politics. Everything that you see on the face value, that's exactly what it is. Today, as if Linda Mwananchi really was very, very serious, then just like any exam, you hold mock exams, you do end of term, then you get to KCSE. In politics, those mock exams and end of term exams are by elections. Who is the Linda Mwananchi candidate in Olkalau? Who is the other candidate in wherever? Kakamega, when Linda Mwananchi meeting was in Kakamega, 2 days later there was an election in Kakamega and UDA still won. Wow. So the truth is that if Linda Mwananchi must be able to exercise its politique, it must exercise it in political reality. So that at the end of the day, people must start planning, they must be able to be in certain vehicles. But again, we are not boxing them to say that they must do as we wish. But we're just saying that is what we can observe from the outside. And in my view, I think Sifuna actually missed the moment that would have made him very, very bad. And I doubt that people who follow Sifuna much are very interested in him being SG of ODM. I really